Hello, my name is Brendan Ryan. I'm a professor of welding programs here at Niagara College. We offer two excellent programs. One is a one-year program, it's a certificate program called Welding Techniques, and the other is a two-year diploma program called Welding Technician. In the first year program, students will be introduced to welding and cutting processes, Oxyfuel welding and cutting. They'll be introduced to layout and fabrication techniques. They'll learn about engineered drawings and how to interpret them. They'll also learn shielded metal arc welding in the flat, horizontal, and vertical positions, as well as gas metal arc welding and flux core arc welding in the flat position. In the two-year program, the Welding Technician program, you'll learn everything from the certificate program, but then you're going to increase your skill set. So you'll learn things like metallurgy, codes and standards, layout and fabrication skills will be increased. We'll also go into shielded metal arc welding in the overhead position, as well as pipe and pressure vessel welding. You'll take your gas metal and flux core arc welding into multiple positions, and you'll also learn how to do the gas tungsten arc welding process. Today we're going to tour the shop, so I'll bring you around the shop, tools, and what we do here. The layout of our shop is like many industrial establishments or welding and fabrication shops. Here we have our steel rack, so full lengths of steel, either pipe, tubing, or flat bar, as well as gauge steel sheets will arrive and we'll store them here, where students can take the steel that they need and cut it to appropriate lengths. Probably one of the biggest pieces of equipment we have in the shop is our hydraulic shear. So we'll take the full sheets of steel and we'll cut them to smaller sizes, which we can finish on the Piranha. But we'll take big pieces, make them smaller, and then we'll use them in our projects. Here we have our hydraulic brake press, so we can take thicker pieces of metal and we can use them in our layout and fabrication projects. So students will be able to utilize this machine here. It has some safety procedures here, like our laser curtain for safety, so that we can't get too close when we're bending our metal. When we're bending smaller pieces of steel, so gauge steel, 12 gauge or lighter, we'll use the pan brake instead of the hydraulic brake. One of the busiest pieces of equipment that we have in the lab is the 50-ton Piranha iron worker. So here students can take those smaller pieces of steel, we can shear, we can punch press, we can also notch and nibble smaller pieces. Generally we use this to use for our welding test plates. We'll also use it in layout and fabrication, where we'll utilize all the functions of this piece of equipment. Over here we have our drill press station, so we can do different diameters of drilling for our projects. Over here we also have the abrasive cutoff saw for those thicker pieces of steel. Here's another busy piece of equipment that we have. It's the horizontal bandsaw, so students can take those longer lengths from the steel rack and cut them to their appropriate sizes. Over here we also have the pedestal grinder, so taking those sharp edges, those burrs off those freshly cut pieces of material, students will bring their pieces over to this piece of equipment and quickly take off those burrs. You'll also notice that every piece of our equipment in the shop has a safe operating procedure. So these safe operating procedures explain to students what is allowed, what isn't allowed. For example, safety glasses must be worn, no rings or jewelry when you're using this piece of equipment. Students must be trained and then signed off on any piece of equipment to show that they understand how to use it safely and properly. This is our designated grinding room for this lab. You'll see that we have up to 6 different areas for students to complete their grinding, and it also has a ventilation system to remove particulate or any dust or debris in the air. In our weld labs, everybody who's welding will have their own designated weld booth. Every booth is equipped with their multi-process inverter type welding machine. We also have various hookups for shielding gas, which comes from a manifold system outside of the building that is piped into the side of each booth. We also have oxygen and acetylene for our Oxyfuel welding or cutting applications. In our welding lab, we also have 3 designated gouging booths, so students can practice their carbon arc cutting and gouging with pressurized air. In this area of the lab, we have our plasma arc cutting station, so students can practice their plasma arc cutting on thin or thick gauge material. Another cutting process that students are taught to use is the track burner, so we'll use Oxyfuel cutting equipment that is automated to create bevels on our plates. One of the very first skill sets that we'll teach students is Oxyfuel welding, cutting, and brazing. Students will apply what they know from their Oxyfuel welding skills as well as their cutting skills to cut out various shapes and do some coping, as well as weld and braze thin gauge material together. Part of our learning at the college is including engineered drawings or sketches that we can have the students read and interpret, and then take what they follow off of our sketches or our drawings and create their projects. A very important part of welding is the consumables that we use. Here at the college, we use a variety of different consumables for shielded metal arc welding. We use the low hydrogen electrodes that we store in the oven. We also use cellulose type electrodes. We have rutile type electrodes, so a variety of shielded metal arc welding electrodes. For our gas metal arc welding and our flux core arc welding, we have different size spools of wire that we can use. We even do gas metal arc welding for aluminum. We also do brazing and our Oxyfuel welding. And when we get to that gas tungsten arc welding, we have a variety of different filler rods for that as well. In our welding programs, we use multi-process inverter type technology for our welding machines. So our machines here are capable of doing different processes. So we can do the shielded metal arc welding process. We can do our gas metal arc welding process or flux core. We could even do our gas tungsten arc welding, all from the same machine. We also have newer equipment as well, inverter type machine that is capable of doing direct current for our mild steel or stainless steel gas tungsten arc welding, as well as continuous high frequency for gas tungsten arc welding of aluminum. One thing that's excellent about the program is that all tools, whether it be for layout and fabrication or your standard welding tools, are provided by the college, so students aren't required to bring anything into the lab. In the welding programs, we are required to wear personal protective equipment. At the college, a new student will be receiving a fire-resistant weld jacket, leather gauntlet gloves. They'll be receiving safety glasses, CSA-approved safety glasses, CSA-approved cutting glasses. They'll receive some reusable earplugs, a beanie, and a clear face shield as well. All that is required from the student is to bring their own welding mask and to have CSA-approved safety boots and some work pants or denim jeans. So as we're learning to weld in this program, we usually start with something more basic, as in striking an arc, learning to do some padding, some stringer beads, maybe some stringers and weaves. We start taking from the flat position to the horizontal to the vertical position. We also will introduce pipe and pressure vessel welding. All the skills accumulate up to learning how to properly pass a CWB or Canadian Welding Bureau plate test. So we are an accredited test center as well, and we are training our students how to be successful in passing the CWB testing. We also have various layout and fabrication projects, some that are more basic to learn certain drawings easier to something that's more complicated. We have an engine mount here. We also have a miniature hot water tank. Different ways to bend and shape metal by using our templates that we learn to build in class. So we have shielded metal, flux core, gas metal. We even have some TIG welding examples here, so our gas tungsten arc welding of aluminum or stainless steel. Thank you for joining me on the virtual tour of our welding labs. We hope you've enjoyed what you've seen here and look forward to teaching you in the welding programs.